Good evening. This video is for the Interior Design 1100 Drafting and Space Planning class at Salt Lake Community College. This is for assignment number 5, where you're going to be laying out a master bedroom, bathroom, and a closet. And I just wanted to go through a few things, a few new items that we're introducing in this lesson, as well as just kind of show you a little bit of the design process and kind of what I'm expecting or anticipating that you'll do for this particular assignment. So for this assignment, I've got a piece of vellum paper. I have my tape. I've already taped down my paper. I've got my straight edge. Again, I have a drafting table with a parallel arm, so I'm using that today. Most of you will be using your T-square. And then I've got my triangle. And then the pencils that I'm using today is an H lead and a B lead. The H lead is the harder lead, and the B is my softer lead. So just as long as you have a hard and a soft, I think you'll be able to do this, and I'll hopefully remember to kind of tell you which pencil I'm using as I go along. So that's pretty much the materials that I have. Oh, I also have my architectural scale that I'll be using, and then some of my templates. So for the first part of the assignment, what I've asked you to do is to do at least 3 conceptual layouts for the master suite that you're designing, and I want to show you the 3 that I came up with, and I just did bubble diagrams to kind of think about how the relationship of each one of the spaces could be. So we're required a master bedroom, and that needs to have an entry from the hall. We need to have a master bathroom, a closet, and then just access between each one of those items. So this particular layout here, you come in from the hall straight into the master bedroom, and then I have the bathroom and the closet. These arrows just indicate that there's access from the master bedroom directly into each one of those spaces. So that's kind of idea number 1. Idea 2, I came down here and I kind of looked at this sort of a layout where it's a little bit more maybe linear, where you come in from the hall, I've got the master bedroom, and then you enter into the bathroom and the closet, more like a linear flow here. And then the third one that I kind of considered is where you enter the hall from this direction here into the master bedroom, and then you maybe have the closet and the bathroom each on one side. I ended up not choosing this one because I think that this just kind of isn't a very efficient use of space. These 2 spaces are smaller and wouldn't really add up to the master bedroom size. With the way how the plan is, or the background that I gave you, a linear layout probably doesn't work as well, so I kind of decided against that one, and then ended up, I'm going to pursue a design that kind of enters in from the side into the master bedroom and then into the bathroom and the closet. So I've already done just a little bit of layout, as you can kind of see here. This is just my very light, I used my H pencil, and with a very light thin line just kind of laid out the spaces, just kind of on what I feel like the space that I would need for the things that are going to go into this room. And then now I'm going to really start trying to lay that out. So here's my master bedroom area. We're going to see if that size is going to work. I've got a space over here for my master bathroom, and then a space here for the closet, and we're just going to see if those kind of lay out correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up here at the top, and I'm going to kind of work my way down, just laying out the master bathroom. The reason why I'm going to start there is because the closet can really be any size, whether it's 6 inches smaller or 6 inches bigger than this. I'd be okay, but I want to make sure that my bathroom lays out fairly nicely and evenly, and this is kind of my flex space, so if I start here, then I can just kind of let this be what's left over and see if that will work for me. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put, let's say that I'm going to put a bathroom up in, or not a bathroom, a tub up in that corner along that end. So I'll just take my template here, and if I go to my house plan and plumbing template, you can see, there it is right there in the screen. Right here I've got a bathtub. It says it's 30 by 60 inches, right? So I know I need at least 60 inches for my tub, but I want it to be a little bit bigger than that. So I went ahead and laid out my the inside dimension for my bathroom at 6 feet rather than at 5 feet because I just wanted to be a little bit generous on the size and have it feel a little bit more comfortable. So with that in mind, I can take my tub here and I'm just going to line this up with that top edge up there and line that up over there. So I'm lining this edge and that edge on the inside dimensions of my wall. And I'm just going to draw in that portion of it, and then I'm not going to draw the end right now. Then I'll pull this over to the other wall, and now I'll kind of draw the rest. So this is going to be kind of an extra large tub here in my master, but I'm okay with that. So there, that's kind of laid out there. And then I can bring up my straight edge here, and I can just draw a line here that kind of indicates the edge of that tub. So this is for a built-in tub. If it was a clawfoot tub or something, I wouldn't draw that line, and I just kind of have the shape of the tub in there. All right, so I know that shape works, or that fits, that fixture fits in there. The next thing I want to do is a sink, and I want to be kind of generous on my sink size, and I'm going to give myself a countertop, a 4-foot countertop. So I'll come down here, measure that at 4 feet. This is at 1/4 inch scale. And then I'm going to come out here and measure out 2 feet, which is the depth of a counter, typically. Right? So then from there, I'm just going to lightly, again, just kind of keeping this fairly light for now, until I feel like everything's going to fit. Right? And I draw my counter there. And then I actually want to do a water closet, so that I want to have my toilet in an enclosed space rather than open to the rest of that. So I'm going to draw this as a wall coming off of there. So I'm going to draw that line extended across. I measure 5 inches for my wall thickness, and then I draw my second wall line right there. And then from there, the minimum width you would want for a water closet would be 30 inches. That always feels tight to me, so I went 3 feet, so 36 inches on mine. So that's kind of that inside dimension there. And then once I've got that drawn, then I can come over here and I can draw in my toilet fixture and just get that centered in the room. And then I can draw that. Okay. And there's my toilet. So now I know my bathroom kind of lays out with the tub, my vanity for my sink. So let's go ahead and draw in the sink. And again, I'm just going to center it right in that 4 feet. You can measure that off, I suppose, if you want to, but I'm just going to get it right there. All right, so then there's my sink, my counter with my sink, and then my toilet. So I know that kind of lays out. And then what that gives me left over is 6 feet for my closet. That's the interior dimension there. So I've got a nice 6 foot by 6 foot closet. All right. Okay, so now that I know that pretty well works, what I'm going to go in and do is go in and start darkening up a few of my walls here. And before I do that, let me draw in where I want my doors to be here, just little marks for that. So I'm going to come off the tub here. Oops, get to the right scale. There it is. All right, so I'm going to come off of that tub maybe about 6 inches. And then I'm going to do a 30-inch door, which is 2 feet 6 inches right there. So I know that's the width for a door. And then I'm going to do the same thing for my water closet. I'm going to come off about 4 inches there. And then do 2 feet 6 inches for my door there. Okay, so then that'll help me remember where I want to put my doors as I start to kind of darken this up a little bit. Right, so I keep all of this really light and very thin until I kind of know where it wants to be. And notice that I'm overlapping the lines. That's a traditional way to do architectural drawings, because I didn't know where they need to be, and I'm not too worried about them being exact. Again, that style helps you to draw a little bit quicker in your work and be a little bit quicker. So let's go ahead and start down here, and I'm just going to thicken up and darken this line a little bit here. Okay, and I'm just kind of working in these spaces where I feel like I'm ready. You know, I'm kind of done with the layout. And to get these thicker lines, I'm just going back and forth a couple of times. I'm using my softer pencil, which is the B, which is going to give me a thicker line. Notice that I'm working from left to right on my drawing, so that hopefully that'll help me be able to reduce the smudging. Right, and for these thick lines, I am just focusing on those for right now, and not the other lines, my other line weights. Okay, so that's all of my horizontal lines drawn, and just now I'm going to look at this one, and it's not quite thick enough. So I'll just thicken that up just a little bit right there. So that's got a good thickness to it. Okay, now I can take and I'll start to work on my vertical lines. Oh, I missed the horizontal lines for this door over here. I'll have to come back and do that in just a second. And I missed the horizontal line at the top. Pretty typical for as you're going along to kind of forget a couple things. So let's hit that little line right there. Hit that little line right there at the door. Come all the way up to the top and just kind of hit that line a little bit like that. So now you can see how I've got kind of a nice dark thick line. Now I don't know if you can really see it in the drawing there, but I drew that line a little wavy, and that's kind of bothering me just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my eraser shield, right? In order to shield, I don't want to erase the other lines around it. I just want to erase that line that I messed up. So I'll show that line, just kind of get that lined up in there, right in that portion of the eraser shield, and then I can just come into here and push down and erase that off. Get that nice and clear, and then use my brush. I'd suggest don't use your hands to brush that away, because you've got oils on your hand, and that's when your smudging and smearing starts. Okay, so now that I've got that, I can come back, and I kind of erased a little bit of this horizontal line a little bit in doing that. That's okay. And now I can come back here, make sure that that's lined up, and now put in a better straight line there. So now I've got a nice dark line, and it's easy to see. So that's kind of the way how I do that layout. You know how to do the doors. I think I won't worry about that for now, just so that this video doesn't get too long tonight. I do want to show you a rod and shelf though, because although we did that in the dimensioning and scaling assignment that we did, I didn't really give you much instruction on that. So first of all, a shelf. So I'm switching back to my H pencil here, my harder pencil. A shelf is typically anywhere from 12 to 14, 15 inches wide. So I'll usually draw mine at about 15 inches. Well, actually I'm going to draw it at 12. So just about that size right there. So there's a 12-inch wide shelf. Okay, and I want my shelf, I'm going to do an L shape that comes from there and along there, and do another 12 inches there. Okay, so then now I can just draw. Again, I'm using my thinner pencil, so my harder pencil, so I can get a thinner line. So I draw that there, and then I draw this here. Okay, so that's my shelf. Right, that represents the edge of my shelf. Now to represent the rod, I just come in a little bit inside of that, and I'm going to do a dashed line. Again, in my thin line weight. So I'm using my harder pencil, and I do a dashed line like that. And I come along here, and I do a dashed line here. Okay, so that's the symbology for a rod and shelf. Now some people, just to remind them, now if you hang a hanger from here, right, hangers tend to be about 20 inches wide, so my hangers are going to come out further than that. So when I'm laying things out, I've got to keep in mind, oh yeah, those hangers are going to lay out, be a little bit larger or hang out, you know, beyond where the shelf line is. So I can come in here and then draw maybe a few things that kind of symbolize the hangers kind of hanging along here. Draw them out like this. Right. In a closet, it's not as critical because we kind of know we've got enough space. But if I was laying this out, say in a closet where you had some walking space behind it, then I want to make sure that I have enough space to be able to maneuver around these. So some people will add just little lines like that to indicate the hangers that are on there. All right, so that's the way I've kind of laid that out, my bathroom and my closet. Now let's just start to kind of lay out my master bedroom. So I'm going to put my master on my bed. Actually, I want to do this big wall over here as the head wall, so that, you know, when somebody gets up, they can just immediately go to the bathroom or to the closet rather than, you know, coming in the room have to walk all the way around. I think just circulation-wise, that tends to work a little bit better. And so I'm going to kind of keep that in mind as I lay out. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I want to make sure I have enough space between this wall and where the bed is going to be. So typically you're going to want to have at least 4 feet. 4 feet is pretty generous. You can get down to about 3 feet and still be able to walk around it fairly easily. 4 feet gives you a comfortable space to be able to walk around. Okay, so there's 4 feet. Now at the end of my bed, I want to do a little bench to be able to kind of sit on. You know, so you can take off your shoes and not have to sit on the edge of the bed. So I'm going to leave 2 feet for that. All right, so I make a little mark there at 2 feet. And then a queen size bed is about 6 feet 6 inches long. So then I come here and I measure from that mark 6 feet and 6 inches. And that gives me my layout of my room coming across there. So now that I have that kind of in mind, now I can maybe start laying out my bed and my bedroom. So I have a template here that has furniture on it. You don't have to have a template. If your template doesn't have a queen size bed, just look up bed sizes on the internet, Google it, whatever furniture you might want to use, Google the size, and just look them up, and then you can just draw them, you know, by measuring it off and drawing them in here. But I happen to have a template for that, so I'm going to lay that out. Now, I might just think about putting it centering on the bed on here, and actually, let me show you how I might actually do that. So I would probably take a piece of my tracing paper here, my layout paper, and in one of the assignments a couple of weeks ago, I actually, it was the one that has all of the clearances when we did that living room layout. If you look at later on in that clearance sheet, it'll show you a bunch of little cutouts, almost like doll cutouts that you can use. But what I'm going to do for now is I'm just going to kind of create my own little template here. All right, and so this is what a size of a queen size bed is right there. Okay, and then I just come and I connect those two ends. This particular template, connect those two ends right there. All right, and there's a little picture of my queen size bed. So now I can take that, because I have this as just as my trace paper, now I can kind of just take this, and I've got little things. So now I can go, well, do I want it along that wall? All right, well, if I put it along that wall, that looks good, kind of the way I was thinking of laying that out. I've got my footstool that I can have down there at the end. Well, what if I were to put it on this wall? Oh, well, that might work. Look at all this extra space down there. That's a huge, almost like a seating area that I could do down there. Maybe it shifts a little bit to this side to give myself a little bit more circulation into the master bathroom. What if I put it along this wall? Well, I've got to think about where my door's coming in, and so I'm already taking up some of that space, and that starts to feel crowded to me. So now I'm probably not going to do it that way. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it along this wall like I was thinking previously, but I'm going to shift it maybe more towards this end, and then that will give me, maybe I can create a nice little seating area here with a couple of chairs and maybe do that. And so now I just have to think, okay, so I want a side dresser or a side nightstand here, and so I'm going to leave myself maybe 3 feet. Let's be generous and go maybe about 3.5 feet for that before I lay that out. So I can go back to my scale here and I'll go, okay, so I'm going to leave 3, 1, 2, 3.5 feet right there. Make a little mark. All right, now I can take this and push it underneath here. Let's just take up this little piece of tape, and then I'm going to put that, and I don't know how well you can see that in the video, but now I'm going to just kind of align this right underneath there. All right. And if you can see that, I don't know if you can, but I can just barely see through my vellum paper. I can see that bed that I had right there. So now I can just come back to my template, or if you just want to trace over it, however you want to do that. Where is that? So now I can just line that up there. All right, and then I can just redraw this bed in the final position that I've kind of decided where I want it to be. Again, using my H pencil, which is my harder pencil for me. Okay, and I've got that drawn. And I come up to here. I draw that. And there's that layout there. There's my bed. Okay, now I said that I wanted a chair, maybe a little seating area. So I've got actually a template. Again, I've got a template for that. So maybe I can look at maybe just doing a little seating area. So here's a chair, like a little love seat with a table and a love seat. So when I lay that out there, look, it fills up that whole room. I still need to get a door coming in here. So that's not going to work for me. But maybe I can just do a couple of chairs across from each other. So let's kind of look at that, and I'm going to use this template right over here, and maybe it's at an angle. No, that tends to be maybe a little bit too big. So I'm going to put a chair kind of down here. In fact, I'm going to pull it away from the wall a little bit because I can see that I've got enough space between my bed, and then maybe I can put a little something down here at the end. So I just come in here and I'm going to use that. And again, if you don't have a template, you can just look these up on the internet and kind of draw something out that represents the size. All right. So there's my chair. All right. And then if I have two chairs kind of facing each other, I'm probably going to want about 36 inches. 3 right there. And let's see if I can get a second chair to fit right there. And I think that'll be okay. It's starting to feel a little tight, so maybe I'll scrunch it in, squeeze them just a little bit by about 6 inches, make sure I have enough space back there. Okay. So there's my other chair. Let me just kind of finish that off right there. So then I've got those two chairs facing each other. And maybe I just want to show something like a little table that might come in here. So a line at the wall. Maybe it's about 12 inches deep. And I'll do it about 4 feet wide. So this is the other way, so I don't have not necessarily going to use a template for this. Probably got something for it, but I can just kind of draw this out really quickly. Alright, and this video is getting quite long, so let me just come down here and I'll draw that end bench that I was talking about. So that's usually about 18 inches, 15 to 18 inches deep. I left 2 feet because if somebody's sitting there, it gives me enough space. Alright, so I can come down here and I just draw in that little footstool, right? And then off here to the side of my bed, I want to have a couple little nightstands, right? And they're about 18 inches deep also. So I can use that same mark because they line up on each side. Line there, hit my line there, and then I'm going to make these about 3 feet wide. So there's my nightstand. All right. So there's a quick layout for my master bedroom. So now you can see it becomes pretty obvious. This is where my door needs to be in order to enter the room. So I'd come over here. I would throw in a quick 30-inch door, and now I can see that line right there is sticking out there too far. I shouldn't have drawn that previously, but oh well, I did. Right. So now I can start drawing and darkening in these lines for my wall. And then back to, using the eraser shield, my eraser, and I would erase that out. Okay. All right, so you can start seeing that. I noticed in a couple of students you filled in these lines. Again, notice that now that I've drawn in my dark lines, those little light lines that I drew before, they disappear pretty much. I don't necessarily need to erase them because I drew them in with very light lines previously. But now you just come in and add your door swings. I'd probably have this door swing in. I'd have this door swing in that way. And just notice those two. Sorry, gotta at least get this portion right. Right, that door's going to swing in, this door swings in. Maybe you do a barn door, maybe you do just an opening. It is a master suite, so you don't necessarily have to have a door if you don't feel like you need it. I would maybe show some windows in a couple places, maybe one over here, show windows in my wall, right? And then just kind of finish that off. So then the last thing that I want to just show you, hopefully very quickly, are two ways that you can label your furniture. So I've asked you to label your furniture as well as dimension, put in window symbols and door symbols like we've talked about in previous lessons. But I want to show you two different ways that you can label your furniture. Okay. The first way, and a very common way that it's done, is to use what's called a keynote. So let's say that I wanted to keynote both of these right here. Right, and so what I would do is I would pick a symbol, and again, it's up to you what your symbols are. You can use a circle, a square. You can switch it to a diamond. A square, you can use this. What is that? A pentagon, a hexagon there. So whatever symbols you want to use, you can use a triangle, however you want to. But you just want to make each, the door symbol should be different than the window symbol, and that should be different than the furniture symbol. So just choose something unique for each one of them. So for this one, I'm going to use a circle, and rather than putting it right on it, I'm going to put it right kind of next to it as kind of a numbering system. So I'm going to use a circle. All right, there's my circle for that one. I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to use a circle for this one. All right, and then let's say that I want to also label the bed. I'm actually going to put this one right on this corner of the bed, right? And you'd go through and you'd add a symbol for each next to or right on each one of the pieces of furniture, right? And the next thing you want to do is you want to give it a unique numbering system or alphanumeric system, whatever you want to. So you can use your text guide, or you can just draw in a couple little quick. And I've drawn these hundreds of times, so I have an idea of what about an 1/8 inch is, because I've drawn these so many times. But you want to just make sure that your little text guides are 1/8 inch tall. Okay, and you're going to come in here and so I'm going to make this number 1. Right, and this one's the same thing, so it's also a number 1. Okay, and now the bed's a different thing, so that's maybe my number 2. Right. And you'd go through and you're just going to number. You can use A's, you know, A, B, C, D, or you can use 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you want to. And then you're going to basically label each one of these for a keynote. And then you would come to a different portion of your drawing. Let's say that I just make a little list up here, and I do my guide lines, right? And I'm just kind of throwing them in here to speed this up rather than using that guide. So there's my 1/8 inch guides up here. And so then just at this other place on my drawing, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, I'd label it furniture legend, right? So let's do that. Sorry, my arm's at an angle, so this isn't my best lettering. Furniture legend. Well, really not liking this lettering because I'm trying to be in a hurry. Just to give you an idea. All right, so there I label that as furniture legend, and then I come down here and I just start numbering. 1 is and you can give it a little bit of detail, you know, an oak wood nightstand, or Scandinavian style nightstand, something like that. I'm just going to go really simple because of time and just call this a nightstand. I should be using my vertical straight edge to draw that, because those aren't very straight lines. But anyway, so you go through there, maybe put a quick line underneath here to show that as the label. So you basically label that in a different location. So the other way you can do that is you can just label it directly. So what I might do here is I would draw my guidelines. Maybe I have a second set here. And I want to line these up so that it's nice and looks good. All right, so I draw a little line there. Hopefully you're not seeing that very well, so let's just kind of maybe slide this down a little bit. Sorry. There we go. Okay, so then let's just say that this first one right here is just going to be a chair. So you don't have to number it when you do it this way. I'm going to just start that right along there. C, H. Okay, and again, you can give it a little bit more, you know, fabric chair, you know, side chair, you know, something like that. The descriptions aren't very long usually, but a couple more words if you want to be a little bit more descriptive. And then, I don't know, let's call this a TV stand. This camera is in my way of the way I normally lay my hand when I do my lettering, so not really happy here. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to draw an arrow. So you draw a little leader line coming out from there, and a little leader line. And then from there, I just use my triangle, and you're going to draw an arrow to each one of these items. Right, so I might put some here, I'd put some over there, maybe they're all just all along the side here to do that. You can put an arrow at the end. You can put a little dot. I like to use just kind of thicken this edge down there. And thicken this edge right there just to kind of give it a terminus, right? And so that's the other way to do it, is just sort of directly label each one of those items. Obviously you're going to go through and you're going to poche your walls, put in your doors, you're going to dimension this for the assignment. But these are a couple of the things that I wanted to just show that are kind of new to this assignment that we haven't covered before on any other assignment, and so you have an idea of how to do that. Alright, I'm going to go try to get this uploaded to Canvas, and as always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. Thanks. Bye.